Okay, guess what time it is? Time for Frank Tomatoes. 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 Frank Tomatoes.
Frank Tomatoes. He's got a lot of tomatoes. Frank, that's our great throw into tomatoes and how we approach it. Why are tomatoes like one of the best things to grow? Because I've heard this from plenty of people.
Well, you know what? It's probably the most popular thing to grow right across the world. And tomatoes, it is indeed a fruit. A lot of people think fruit or vegetable. Some people call it a vegetable. It's a fruit. It's a fruit because it has a flower, then goes into producing this beautiful thing. But the biggest question is, guys, is like, how do you turn one of these into a whole lot of these?
How do we?
How do we? And have you ever tried to grow tomatoes? You know,
Never.
Dina, your dad does
my dad.
fantastic job at tomatoes.
Thanks, Frank. He'll love that you say that. He's proud of his tomato growing, and they're huge, and they last well into the season. I'm telling you, what's the trick?
What the trick is, first and foremost, is making sure you plant them in full sun. So they need afternoon sun, at least 6 hours of afternoon light. When you go to buy plants, you want to make sure that you're buying yourself nice, healthy-looking plants that are nice and green. You can get many different sizes. And then you may get a little bit confused because when you start to look at plants, you say to yourself, there's so many different varieties. Which one should I get? Well, let's break it down for you. Let's start off with determinate tomatoes. What the heck is a determinate tomato? You can see them right here behind me, all in the pots. Those are those bush variety of tomatoes, the ones that will be a little bit better for those that you want to grow in a container or if you have a small space. You know, some of the pot sizes on these, I would give you a real big recommendation. You want to get a little bit larger of a pot. What I would really recommend, if you're growing a tomato in a container, make sure you get at least a 16-inch pot. There's lots of options there. Yeah, huge. Lots of options there at Lowe's. Now, indeterminate tomatoes. Do you guys know what an indeterminate tomato is? Sid, I know you know what this is.
No idea. But please, I did work in the garden center, but I didn't absorb much.
They're not as determined to grow? What's an indeterminate tomato?
It's a vine-type tomato. It's one that's going to get quite large, and with those vine-type tomatoes, they generally produce more tomatoes during the season, but you can see you're going to need some sort of a support structure. You're going to need a larger space. So if you have a larger space, indeterminate tomatoes, smaller space, go into the determinate tomatoes. Now, in life, guys, are there suckers in life?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're looking at two right here, Frank.
Yeah,
Get your
so
suckers ready.
He's got two thumbs into the sucker. This guy.
Hey, what is a sucker? So with tomatoes, often there's a big controversy in the world of tomato growing. And that is, should you remove the suckers? And I have an image too, I know, of suckers. And the suckers are right at the middle of the stems here. And you start to see like a little plant that's growing at the side. A lot of the times I would recommend to remove those suckers. And by suckering, there's a better image right there. Removing those suckers, you're going to put more air around the plant, more light into the plant, and it's going to perform that much better for you.
Are those little suckers tough to remove?
No, easy. It's it's a nice day. You get mad at life, you go out there, you weed your garden, you sucker your garden, things are going to go well. Now, there's something else that happens in the world of gardening too. Something called blossom end rot. You ever heard of blossom end rot?
Oh dear, it sounds like.
I think I had that for a week once last year.
Sounds like my high school years.
Sounds painful, Frankie. What are we talking about? Oh, that's what he's talking about.
But think about it, guys. Your tomatoes on the top, they're pretty perfect. You go and you look at the tomato, and on the bottom of the tomato, oh my goodness.
Breaks my heart.
So now's the time where we can prevent blossom end rot. And this is going to be funny because this is the same color as what the green screen is behind me. See how it's kind of floating?
It's disappeared.
It is what it is.
Hey, magic Frankie time.
No big deal.
Look at that, look at that. But we're looking for fertilizers, guys, and there you go. We're looking for a fertilizer. Isn't that so much fun? We're looking for a fertilizer like a Miracle Grow Shake and Feed that's got calcium enriched. By improving the calcium for that tomato, what you're going to do is reduce the amount of blossom end rot that you're going to have in that plant. So if you're doing right now, if you're planting your tomatoes, look for a calcium-enriched fertilizer, plant in full sun, the two differences between the two. And then the final tip that I have for you, when planting a tomato, this is going to sound crazy, you remove the bottom leaves off, and then you're going to plant the bottom third of the stem into the soil. Plant it a little deeper, thickens the stem up, you get a healthier plant. And tonight we are frost-free in the city of Toronto, so we don't have to worry about these guys.
Yeah, but the city of Toronto, you got to worry about the squirrels and the raccoons. Can you even bother with a tomato plant in the city of Toronto?
You can, actually. Some calcium-enriched fertilizers and even some pelletized hen manures. By spreading a pelletized hen manure around, it actually, and that's chicken poop, it will put calcium into the soil, and then squirrels and chipmunks don't really like being around it, and that product's available at Lowe's as well.
Oh, thanks, Frank.
Frank, again, determinate, indeterminate. I learn something every time. I say that and I mean it.
I'm so much fun at a party. And guys, I'm wearing lavender today too, by the way.
Wow, look at
Staff
this.
has the same color trend going
Lavender
on. Devo,
crew. Look at us.
In sync, baby.
Look at us.
In sync.
Always looking good, Frankie. Good stuff.
Thanks,
Love
guys. Have a wonderful day, guys.
You too.
Professor Francesco
Professor
Ferragini.
Ferragini, looking good. A federal MP caught on camera in the Buff last month is red-faced once again. An MP kind of turned into an MPP for a moment.
One might say you're in trouble, Mr. Amos.
Well, can you figure out what we're talking about here?
You're in
It's
trouble.
about the PPs. Melanie Ng will have a classier read next.
trouble.
Here on BT. Good morning. just mute the video on your phones, guys. It's really not that difficult.